recall, I used to sit as court attorney for then Representative of Congress, Senator Marcelo Fernan, in the prelims. And that was, I think, my internship. And it never crossed my mind that one day I would be here as a regular member. Anyway, as you mentioned, you served as National President of the IBP in 1987. And in that brief stint, I believe your biggest accomplishment was the financial stability of the IBP by wiping out the indebtedness of IBP with the GSIS by the reduction of its penalties and interest as a result of its loan to build the IBP building. And because of that, IBP is benefiting and we are financially sound. That being the case, and knowing the inadequate budget of the Supreme Court, if nominated and appointed Chief Justice, what would be the priorities in your budget for the Supreme Court?
Well, we really have a big problem with the budget for the Supreme Court. For the past several years, up to 2010, I believe our budget hovered only at the range of 0.8% of the national budget. And in 2011, I was informed that our budget was substantially increased to 1.21% of the national budget, and this is really a dramatic increase. And likewise in 2012, for this year, I believe we were given a budget of around 1.07% of the national budget, and we are grateful for this substantial increase in our budget because, as I stated a while ago, before we used to get only 0.8%, and even I think it even went lower than 0.8. It became 0.79 in 1 year. So I have to express our gratitude to Congress and, of course, President Benigno Aquino III for this substantial increase in our budget. But still, later on, I hope I will be given the opportunity to discuss the problems that confront the judiciary at present. And I will discuss, if you will allow me, the need really to provide a big amount of money for the construction of courtrooms and the purchase of the needed equipment. And when I say equipment, it covers not only the furnitures and tables and the supplies, but we want to really acquire already the equipment pertaining to our ICT programs. So there is some amount given as capital outlay in our budget, but then that will not suffice for the construction of the courtrooms needed nationwide. If I have gone around in my stint as court administrator for 6 years, I visited the different court stations, and I'm shocked to see courtrooms which are in a very state of repair. It's so dilapidated, and it's a shame for us to show to foreigners, and more so people from the judicial branch in other countries, that we will find a courtroom like this in our country. And so we must get full support of Congress and the President to provide the judiciary with the adequate funds to come up with the well-equipped and constructed courtrooms that can withstand the elements. And as you know, we have had several courthouses seriously damaged by the typhoons and even by the floodings. And so we really need a big budget. But we know that this cannot be done in one sitting. It has to be done on a staggered basis. And then, of course, later on, I will discuss the need to create more courts. And so, aside from the fact that right now we have to repair and refurbish the existing courtrooms, we may really have the need to construct more courts for these new court stations that must be created by law to solve the high caseloads in the dockets of some of our court stations, and I will discuss that later. So the support of the two other branches of government is quite important in our task of delivering swift but genuine justice. We cannot do it by ourselves. Probably the 20% that is earmarked from the JDF should be studied carefully, because it creates the wrong impression that the 20% may be sufficient already to finance the construction of the courts that have to be repaired and the construction of new court rooms. But it's not. It's not sufficient. It's not ample. So probably we may have to seriously consider that the 20% should already go back to the National Treasury to avoid the wrong perception that it is sufficient to finance or the repair of the existing courtrooms, so that we can present clearly to the Department of Budget and Management the actual financial requirements for the infrastructure and the courtrooms needed in our judicial system at present. And the ICT has to be used already by the courts if we are to deliver swift but inexpensive justice. We have developed the enterprise information system plan, and there is a need to come up with around $15 million to set up the equipment so that all the courts nationwide will be linked to our main data center here in the Supreme Court. And that's a huge amount of money. And even the Hall of Justice of Manila was delayed for some time because we were relying on a loan to be given by the World Bank. And finally, we were able to locate some funds, and that will provide the initial funding for the Hall of Justice. But then there are other courtrooms that have to be repaired, and there is really a need to construct more courtrooms, Madam.
Thank you, Justice. On another vein regarding finances, in some LGUs, they provide judges with an allowance. What to you would be a way to modify or to improve the policy on the acceptance of this allowance in order to ensure that the judges remain independent?
Well, I encountered that problem, Madam, in my stint as a court administrator, and it's true that the independence of our judges who receive these allowances and perks from the local government may be somewhat already compromised. I know of a situation where a judge who issued a decision adverse to a mayor or the head of an LGU, and the result of that is that well, I think the allowance was withheld, or sometimes they deprived them of some privileges. And I heard of a judge who's supposed to get the allowance directly from the head of the LGU. And the head of the LGU even asked the judge to receive it after 12 o'clock. So it really adversely affects the independence of the judges. And what I propose, and I think this has been proposed, and this has been done in Makati and in Cebu under then Mayor Tommy Usmeña, is that all this financial support should be placed in a judicial trust fund to be managed by the Supreme Court, so that there can be no issues as to the independence of our judges. So probably this is the opportune time also to state here, Madam, if you will allow, that in the construction of the courts, I believe that the LGUs who are financially capable should be the one obliged to spend for the construction of the courtrooms. They have done that in Parañaque, in Marikina, and in Makati. And I don't see any reason why the other LGUs who are equally financially able to provide the funds should not do it. Because anyway, their constituents are the ones being serviced by our judges. And I believe that even the utilities should all be paid by the LGUs. And if I'm lucky enough to be first nominated by you, hopefully, and then appointed, I will work towards this trust of talking with the heads of the LGUs for them to take care of the construction of the courtrooms, to provide the equipment, and also to shoulder the utilities. And probably that is the way that the LGU can amply support the courts in their respective jurisdictions. It should be done that way, rather than by giving allowances and perks to the individual judges. Actually, the giving of the allowances and perks should be the concern of the Supreme Court. And so I believe this should all be put in a judicial trust fund, and then probably the judicial trust fund should be the one that will be utilized for the construction of the courtrooms and the purchase of the equipment and the payment of the utilities, Madam.
Thank you, Justice. Something that you are familiar with respect to the IBP again. Well, 3 years ago, we belatedly assumed office as members of the Board of Governors. And in fact, you attended our oath-taking. And instead of having the full complement of 9, there were only 6 of us because there was a controversy